So if you're into home bartending like myself, then you've probably watched all these videos about how you need to have clear ice for your cocktails. And I'm going to tell you in this video exactly why that's wrong. My name's Ron Verpin. I've been a home bartender for over 5 years now. I'm a full-time medical doctor, and I teach other busy professionals how to make cocktails at home. And if you're like myself, you're really into this journey and you've watched all these other bartending YouTubers talk about the importance of clear ice and specifically the method for how you make it. And that method, in my opinion, is very cumbersome and just completely impractical for a home bartender. So what that method, just to summarize, what that involves is that you take this giant ice cooler that's like, I would say it's about this big, and you fill it up completely with water, and you use this technique called directional freezing. So when you fill it up completely with water, you leave it in your freezer for about 24 hours, then you take it out, and what you end up with is this giant block of ice, and all of the impurities have settled in one area. So what you can do is you could take a giant knife and cut off all the area where the impurities are, and then everything else, the remaining giant block of ice, which is still quite large, is completely clear. And then you can take that knife and an ice pick and your other tools and then shape that into spears for your Collins glasses, and you can shape it into cubes for your old-fashioned glasses. And if you're really crafty, you can even go into spheres and other kinds of fancy shapes. And in my opinion, it's a great method. It's still the best method for making clear ice at home, but I would say it's completely impractical and you don't even need clear ice in the first place. And, I'm going to talk about the different reasons in this video. So the first is that, by definition, if you're a home bartender like myself, or you're an aspiring home bartender, by definition, you're making drinks in your home. I'm filming this right now in my own kitchen. My fridge is over there just a little bit off screen with my freezer on top as well. And so if you want to do this method, it'll require you to have that giant ice cooler take up your freezer. And, since you're not working at a bar, you're using your own home freezer. That freezer is not only for ice and for cocktails. That freezer is also for your food. And if you live with other people, roommates or your family or, anyone else like that, friends, for example, that means you're sharing your freezer space with other people. You can't really be taking it up with one giant ice cooler just to make clear ice, because you need that freezer space to store your food, to feed yourself and your family, or your roommate needs it to feed himself, things like that. So you can't really take up all that space. And the other reason it's impractical is because it's so time intensive. Like I said, it takes an entire day to freeze it, and then you have to be pretty vigilant about it and then take it out at that time. And then you have to go through all this method. You have to have a giant cutting board, put it on there, and have the specific tools to cut it and shape it into different cubes. And that whole method of going through all of that process might only net you enough ice for, 10 drinks. I actually haven't done this personally, but from the videos, it looks like it's enough ice for maybe 10 drinks or something of that sort. And I just think that's completely impractical, because it's just so much work. You're taking up so much real estate in your freezer just to get enough ice for 10 drinks, maybe 15 drinks, something of that sort. And so that's the main reason that I think it's impractical. The other reason is that, as a home bartender, by definition, you're making drinks in your home. So you're only making drinks for people that you feel comfortable letting into your home. So that's going to be your friends, your family, your loved ones, and obviously on some occasions you're going to be making these drinks for yourself too. And from my experience, nobody really cares about the ice being clear. They probably do care for it at a fancy cocktail bar, a high-rated cocktail bar where, they're going out, they're paying the price to be there, the price for the ambiance, they're paying a tip to the bartender. In those cases, I think clear ice in terms of presentation is very, very important. But when you're a home bartender, people are coming to your house just to have a nice evening, just to have a few drinks with their friends or their family, their loved ones. And, they're not really that worried about the presentation of the cocktail. Oftentimes they're not even, you're hosting the party, so, there's no expectation of payment either. You're making these drinks as a courtesy, as something that you want to do for the people that you love, the people in your life that are important to you, whether they're your friends or your family or coworkers or whoever else you're making drinks for. You're doing this as a service, as something for them, that because you want to. You're not necessarily expecting them to critique you on the presentation of your cocktail. Oh, why are you not using clear ice? So, there's really no need to go that extra level and get clear ice when there are other methods for getting ice. And in my opinion, the best one is right here. This is one of the ice cube trays from Cocktail Kingdom. There's actually a few, but I would say if you could only buy one, buy this one. This is the 1-inch ice cubes. And I also have the bigger, the 2.5-inch ice cubes. And then I also have the spears for the Collins glasses. Those are all from Cocktail Kingdom. I'll put the link in the description below specifically for this one right here. So it's a great, I think this is the most practical. And between all the different ice cube trays that I have from Cocktail Kingdom, these have gotten me tons of compliments. People compliment me on my ice all the time when they come over and have drinks. And the ice is never clear, but what it will do is it gives you a consistent size and shape of ice cubes, and it's quite easy to make, especially for these smaller ones. It generally takes about 4 or 5 hours to freeze. So what I like to do for when I'm hosting a party, let's say the party is on Friday, on Monday morning, I'll fill this up completely. Then when I get home from work, it'll be definitely be completely frozen. I'll take out all the ice cubes, put them into a Ziploc bag to store it, and then I'll just repeat the process over and over again. And each time I do that, I get 15 ice cubes. So if I start on Monday, then by the time I'm done on Friday, I'll have 75 ice cubes, which is definitely more than enough. You usually need about 1 or 2 for every cocktail, so that's definitely more than enough for a standard cocktail party. If you're throwing a bigger party, you can definitely do this multiple times in a day. Like I said, it takes about 4 to 5 hours to freeze, as opposed to the standard method that that all the other bartending YouTubers talk about for directional freezing for clear ice. That'll take a whole day. So this one you can actually do 2 or even 3 times in a day, especially if you're working from home or you have the day off. On your weekend, you want to just make some ice and have it ready for the next party, then you can do that. And it's quite straightforward to do. And this is very beginner friendly as well. Anyone can do this. It doesn't really take any specific skill. You don't have to go out and watch a video on how to do that. It's just filling up an ice cube tray. Everyone knows that by this point. So I would highly recommend this over the whole directional freezing method that just takes up so much space and time and is just cumbersome and impractical. If you really are more advanced in this stage, like myself, I've been doing this for 5 years. I personally haven't even done that method yet, but if that really intrigues you and you're far into this journey and you want to do it, maybe you have a special occasion, like you're having a special gathering, you only have one person over, or you have just a couple people over and you want to do something nice, and you want to make some really nice cocktails, have great presentation, you have beautiful glassware, you want to do all that, then sure, certainly go out and do the whole directional freezing method. But for the majority of you watching, all the intermediate and beginner home bartenders that just want quality ice for their next big gathering or for the cocktails they make at home, then go out and buy the Cocktail Kingdom ice cube trays. I would say if you could only buy one, get this one, which is the standard, this is the 1-inch cubes. So go out and do that. So that's all I have for this video. If you found the content helpful, please subscribe to the channel below. On this channel, I do tons of videos, basically 2 types of videos. One is tutorials for how to make specific cocktails, and then the other one is like this video where I give different tips and tricks on how to really get into this journey of home bartending. Thank you. Cheers.